作品でいうドラゴンボールファイターズとかみたいにその e スポーツ的すごい競技性が高くて公平性が高いみたいな形ではなくて、どちらかというとドラゴンボールらしさ、ドラゴンボール的な体験をすごい楽しんでいただきたいなということを念頭に作っている作品になります。なのでキャラクターごとに全員が共通して同じ強さであるっていうのではなくて、原作で描かれていたようなその強いキャラクターはより強く、なかなか苦戦したキャラクターはちょっと苦戦を強いられるような、そういった形でキャラクターの強さっていうのは調整させていただいていますので、基本的にはそのようなドラゴンボールキャラクターのドラゴンボールのキャラクターのまさにそのキャラクターになりきる体験というか、キャラクターが味わえるこの、より自分が強ければより強い体験、なかなか難しいキャラクターでも難しい体験みたいなところを本当にキャラクターになりきって遊んでいただけたらなというふうには思っています。自分が強ければプラスであるんですけど、一旦ここまでで。
So, first part of the answer. I mean, there are other Dragon Ball games where they have a like very good balancing that is important for esports to have like characters that are well balanced so that everybody has the same chance. But this game is more about enjoying being a character. So in this game, strong characters are stronger, and you can play very strong, and characters that are weaker in the story are also weaker, and you can enjoy gameplay where you struggle a little more and it's a little more challenging. So the focus is different. It's not really balancing and having a fair esports fight, but more about being the character and being the story.
でその上で一応キャラクターごとに、コストみたいなものが割り振られていまして、強いキャラは多くコストを消費して、弱いなかなか苦戦したようなキャラクターとしては少し少なめのコストになっていて、その一定のコストの上限の中で、チームを組んでいくっていうような遊び方をすることができて、そうすることで一定程度バランスを取った対戦ができるような形にしています。
Це або щось з YouTube у нас, або я не знаю, я часом не бачу.
For example, strong characters have a higher cost, and not so strong characters has a lower cost. And as this is a team game, you can combine your team with like stronger or weaker characters and have the same cost to balance the odds.
Nice. Now, obviously, games have changed a lot since the last Budokai Tenkaichi. Can you talk a little bit about how Sparking Zero has kind of modernized the old experience? Like, what will longtime players immediately find familiar, and what's something new that might surprise them just in terms of how it plays?
前のゲームは結構前に出たんだから、その時のファンが今の新しいスパーキングゼロをゲームするときには、これは昔のようだと考えるところとか、これは新しいなと考えるところが少ない。
そうですね、おっしゃる通り、シリーズ作品になっていて、それこそ前作17年前に出ているというところもあって、
Так, я не знаю, чи встиг, чи я попав на початок, якраз ще ні, таймера немає, тому як звук, можливо, щось за голосом, можливо, щось скрутити. Давай трошки скручу все.
昔遊んでいただいた武道会展開地3と近い操作感で遊んでいただけるようにすごいチューニングしていますし、基本的ななんでしょう、吹っ飛ばしてから追撃をするだとか、相手の攻撃をうまくカウンタータイミングよくボタンを押してカウンターするだとか、そういった基本的なシステムは。
Я не хочу, щоб ви втратили те, що тут японці говорять, щоб ви часом не почули, але не хочу, щоб якщо я ж буду казати, що мене теж не було чути на фоні японців. Українська понад усе.
武道会展開シリーズならではというか、ドラゴンボールらしいアクションというのを楽しんでいただけるように、よりリアルタイムの中で攻撃を食らいながらも反撃できる新しいリベンジカウンターというシステムを入れたりですとか、ちょっと中距離からでも一気に瞬間移動的に攻撃を仕掛けることのできるバニシングアサルトみたいなですね、新しいシステムもどんどん入れていくことで、よりドラゴンボールらしいアクションを自分の手で生み出せるような進化というのを取れるような形で作らせていただいています。
So of course this is an old IP, the last game is 17 years old, so a lot of change there, but as this is a part of a series, we're very focused on
перекладач сидить, і він стільки перекладає зараз. Багато. Каже, що ми дотримуємося з класичного підходу, типу, щоб був той самий дух серії, але дещо беруть нове додають. Бач, бо я схож на попередні ігри. Але ми додали багато нових приколів.
So there are some real-time actions like now while you're attacked you can revenge counter. This is a new system.
Ого, ти можеш контратакувати.
You can like warp or like vanish assault we call it, like when you immediately teleport to the enemy and then can attack and stuff.
Коротше, цей японець походу працює в підвалі у цього чувака, який перекладає. Бо він такий щось ходить, його не годують.
Awesome. Well, I'm dying to find out more. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is out October 11th on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. Right now, though, there is lots more Gamescom Studio coming up live on IGN, so stick around.
Це ще IGN до сих пір, це не Gamescom. Що це за мем? Ще не то відкрив. Та ні, Gamescom.
Hello and welcome to Gamescom 2024. I am Simon Cardy with Matt Purslow for IGN, and we have seen an extended look at Indiana Jones and the Great Circle gameplay, a full 15 minutes, couple of different levels, a little look around some of the mechanics, and I think so far, you know, you'd be expecting from Machine Games something that has the essence of a bit of Riddick, a bit of Wolfenstein in there, which you're definitely getting in Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I think the surprise we got is there's quite a bit of the Hitman games in this, not only in some of the stealth systems, but the way the levels themselves are designed.
Yeah, so as we know, kind of like, Indy does disguise himself in the films to get into certain areas, and we're actually seeing a bit of that in the mechanics of the game. So there will be areas that are off limits, and you'll have to get a disguise, very much like Agent 47, and then you'll go in there, and there are actual enemies that you have to be wary of because they might be able to see through your disguise. And then as you're working through those areas, you've kind of got to do stuff that makes you seem like you're part of them. You know, you might want to have to pour a bottle of wine in one instance to make sure that the Nazis don't think that you're anything more than a humble waiter.
Yeah, I mean, it's some of my favorite parts of the Indiana Jones. I'm a huge fan of the films. I just love how funny they are, especially in The Last Crusade, where Indy himself disguises himself as a Nazi, mistakenly gets really close to Hitler and gets him to sign his autograph book. It's a very funny moment. Don't know if we'll get any of that quite in the game, but yeah, as you said, I like the disguise elements that we've seen so far. There's one bit where he's disguised himself as a member of the clergy in the vacancy to sneak into areas he shouldn't be. I just love that element of it, that sneak into areas. And there's a good level of stealth to this game, which is kind of what I want, because the Uncharted games, which are obviously inspired by Tomb Raider, which in turn inspired by Indiana Jones, very gun heavy. They kind of take the more action hero approach to Nathan Drake, whereas I kind of like that this is more India's core. He's a professor, he's an archaeologist, he's not a super soldier, and we're getting that. And that's not to say that there isn't combat in this game. Outside of stealth, he does like to get himself into a fight, and I know you in particular are quite impressed by the melee system they seem to have in this game.
Yeah, so as you were saying with Uncharted is very gun heavy, and kind of like Nate has lots of different weapons that he can use. It seems like Indy's kind of doing the inverse of that, where he's got his revolver, but actually a lot of the combat seems to be fist fighting, and there's actually, it seems to be, at least what we've seen, a reasonably deep fist fighting system. So you've got your usual left and right hooks, but there's also like a dodge and parry system, and obviously you then combine that with the whip, so you can kind of like whip them from the ankle and pull them over, or you can knock their weapons out their hands, so then you can like dive in to get like your strong right hook in. And so yeah, it feels like definitely it's going to have a little bit of Uncharted, you can't escape that because Indy is the start of that Genesis, but I like that they're focusing on things that are very not like what of archaeology-style adventure games have done in the past.
No, and I also like there's a great deal of puzzle solving in this game. Like in that 15 minutes we saw, there's at least 3 or 4 different types of puzzles we saw. Of course, you're going to get like the light and mirror puzzle that you kind of see in all of these types of games, but there was also just a good amount of
рук такі якісь як скринь прям.
Puzzle solving. We don't know to an extent how many different ways you can solve certain objectives in this game yet, but a key tool that Indy has is his journal and his camera. So he'll go around levels and take photographs of clues, and then that'll help him not only solve puzzles and work out ways of completing these levels, but also for everything you successfully take a photo of, you get things called adventure points, which you can then use that on.
Ну, ми це все бачили вчора. Я не знаю, для чого вони це знову розказують по другому колу, але це все вчора було. Абсолютно все.
Because it plays into the films in a very funny way.
Yeah, so there is a perk called True Grit, and this is
доброго вечора,
if you've
доброго
played
дня.
Borderlands and you know what the second wind sort of ability in that game is, when you go down, it allows you to come back. It's a second life essentially. But True Grit, the way it does it, like it's perfect. He drops the hat, and then you pick the hat up and put it back on your head. Hopefully it plays the music sting, and then yeah, you get your second life and you get to carry on.
Мені цікаво, чи він насправді такі зворушені тим, що виходить нова гра.
Finding a way to turn that into gameplay, I think that's super smart.
Я такий зворушений, коли я бахну ревий мівіни. Тоді в мене таке саме оце, але щоб через вихід гри настільки бути зворушений. Християнам. Добре. Христя, ням-ням-ням.
They drop down into this tomb and you're expecting snakes,
ну так, дійсно,
but it's actually scorpions.
Так, я
A fun
подумав.
little twist. I mean, he's not a fan of bugs either. That's more Temple of Doom, a lot of bugs in Temple of Doom. But you're expecting snakes.
Жаль,
I'm
що
sure there will
нема.
be snakes in this game.
Хіба
We
потім
haven't played it yet, we
пошукати
don't know
просто
how it
трейлер
feels. I'm hopeful
сам.
about it, but there really seems to have
І
like crappy
подивитися, як воно
essence
виглядає
of
в
Indiana
2К,
Jones.
в
And it does
4К,
like,
бо
I know it's a cliche, but
в
kind
трансляції
of
воно
does
все
feel
дуже
like
сумно
you're playing an
виглядає.
unofficial, well,
Ну,
almost
тут
an
нормально.
official film.
А де екшн-сцени, я так розумію, там або ФСР напхали багато, або що, я не знаю.
You know, if you squint
Дуже
your
сильно
ears,
все
if you can do
розмито.
that, I don't know if that's the thing, isn't too far away from
I think he's got it pretty well.
Yeah. One big question people have had since the start of
Давайте,
this
хлопці,
game
давайте
is
до Сталкера,
first
переходьте до
versus
Сталкера.
third
Нам не
person.
цікава ця гра. Ми її вчора
95%
бачили,
of the game
все,
is first
досить.
person. I'm happy with that.
Ви ж не показали
That
нічого
kind of is
нового.
what
Все те
separates it
саме.
from the likes of Uncharted and Tomb Raider, I think. Otherwise it would be
Хто
to an
такі
extent a bit of a
мідорійці?
copy of those
Я не знаю,
games
хто такі
and the
мідорійці.
Hitman games. There are moments where it switches to third person.
Це, до речі, ну,
Some
на
of
звук
those, I
кажіть,
think,
якщо
work
щось недобре з
well, like
звуком,
the climbing,
я
that
трошки,
makes sense that it's in third person.
вирівнюю рівень або
But then, like,
зменшу
every, like,
щось.
whip swing you do for like a second cuts to third person. That is a little jarring for me at the moment. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I find the kind of like there's almost a bit of
Тут
Deus
якийсь
Ex.
прям
You
свій
know
лор
the modern Deus
відбувається
Ex games have when you
в
go into
коментарях.
cover, it goes into third person, which feels like very natural for it. It feels like it works for the gameplay
Мідорійці.
mechanics.
Чекай,
It is
це
obvious in this
фанати
that when he does
Мідорі
the
з аніме
whip crack
Супергеройської
to swing
академії?
himself over a chasm, that they want to
Це
have
що?
that kind of cinematic element of indie. But the moment is so small. It's a second, so you're going out into third person for a second and then back into first person. Whereas with the climbing, you've got a more extended period and it makes more sense of that. I hope that there's a toggle that I can switch that on and off because quite honestly, I'd rather play the game mostly in first person. It is a game that is clearly built for first person.
А чому ти
And
шукаєш
I
ну там?
want to play most of the game that way.
Especially because like the details of some of these like levels, it's a beautiful looking game, and I kind of, you know, I think you can be immersed in third person games, but first person does give you that extra little boost to that, I think. And seeing some of these worlds and, you know, holding the journal up in first person, it all feels very tangible, and I like when games feel tangible. And it's another way they're really like encapsulating the feel of the films. I do want to touch on the comedy of it all as well, because I do think it's going to be like, that's what the Hitman side of, like, Hitman is one of the funniest games you can play because it allows you to do funny things. And I think even in the melee combat you see like funny little like slaps and stuff like that, which is very funny. And also the way you can just pick up weapons from around the world, like there's a shovel on the floor, pick it up, hit someone with it once, and then that weapon will shatter, so you can't overly
Цікаво поставити
abuse
плагін, де б я міг
There's fun
мишкою
little
щось
ways you
зразу
can just, like, pick up
підсвічувати і так далі.
not anything in the world, but, you know, pick up little things
Я теж так
and
кажу,
just
кому не
use
пох.
them, like,
Вони ж
kind
про
of
нього
a little
говорять.
bit like, you know, old Valve games would with their physics engine, just kind of making weapons from the world. And I know you saw a little bit of Valve design.
Imagine,
we
вже
don't
7
want to
хвилин.
overhype how much design work's going into it. But
Майже
there is a little
8.
bit of that in there, I think.
Yeah, I think the kind of
Про той
like
трейлер,
the,
про одні ті ж самі всі
providing as
штуки ми
many
бачили
possibilities
купу
within
разів
a space
вчора.
as possible. They did talk about how there's a lot of linear sections, but then there's a lot of kind of like, I guess you call them wider linear sections, which is where you get to make more of your own choices on how you progress through the mission. And that's where we're going back to the disguise system. You have disguises that
Геймплею
work for
насправді показують
particular
небагато,
story
показують
sections,
якісь
but then it
мувіки,
seems like you get to
як
keep those
геймплею,
disguises, and
дуже
then
мало
if you find an
показують.
area that would require
І то так
a
буквально по
similar
півсекунди,
presence,
де він
you
зробив
can switch
фотку,
back
де
into
він
that.
десь
And
заліз,
so
і все.
that combined with the like these slightly more open, a bit like what Chronicles of Riddick had, where it's like, okay, you're in an area, but there's sort of 4 routes that you can see that might go through it, and then this one
Make
is
me
I
real,
could pick up this
серйозно,
rolling
це що
pin
таке
and
взагалі?
batter the Nazi with a rolling pin, but then I could
Я
maybe
ж
grab
загуглив,
this
мені
guy's
цікаво.
gun and
Але я
fire
так
a
розумію,
few
це треба
rounds of
гуглити
that
через
off.
приватну
It's
вкладку.
got a bit of that. It's not an immersive sim game in the way that kind of things like what Arcane and Ironstorm back in the day made, but it's got that freedom which reminds me a little bit of Valve. Valve was always kind of hot on, you're in first person, as long as you can do things around with the environment, you'll find a solution. I'm hoping that's what it's going to get from. That's what it was suggested from what I was seeing.
I'm very excited for this game. Like, I was already very excited for this game as a huge Indiana Jones fan. I'm just glad now we've seen an extended bit of gameplay that there is a lot more to it. And I thought
Дуже
I thought
багато
maybe
інфи
I was just
різної.
getting a first
Не знаю,
person
що це таке.
Uncharted, but I like these stealth elements, the disguise elements.
Тут і
A lot more
музика.
deeper systems than I thought maybe this game would have. And yeah, I can't wait to see more, really. Yeah.
Якась гра на Ічіо.
Fantastic.
Diablo 4 was one of last year's most addictive games, and if you thought you were done, they're about to pull you right back in. Here to tell us about the upcoming Vessel of Hatred expansion, I'm joined by Brett Gibson, game director, and Tiffany K. Watt, production director. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Let's talk about Vessel of Hatred, coming to Diablo 4 October 8th, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. And I believe at the show here at Gamescom, you're showing a new
Коротше, я
trailer
так
for
розумію,
Pale
що
Hand
я
Mercenaries. What do you
можу
need to know
насправді
about this
встигнути ще
group?
за півком
Oh my
зганяти
God.
і
First off,
зробити
we
всі
wanted
хатні
to
справи,
find a
і
way
може тоді щось
to
покажуть,
allow
чому ще не
players
бачив
that
вчора.
play specific classes to round out their builds with certain powers that you might not
Хтось взагалі
actually
грає
have
Diablo
in
4?
that class specifically.
У нас
So,
хтось
like,
її
for
купляв?
example, if you're
Чи вона там
playing a
зараз
sword,
безплатна, я не знаю.
you might want
Я
to
пограв був
have
на
something a
мобілці
little
оту
more
нову
tanky
Diablo
as a
мобільну.
part of your kit. And so
Та,
Mercenaries is a really
таке
great
собі,
way
таке собі.
of being to hire and bring followers along that fit those gaps.
Yeah, there's a few reasons I love mercenaries. I mean, I've been playing Diablo for a long time. Diablo 2 always had a mercenary with me, obviously, and Diablo 3. So really, really excited to bring this feature to Diablo 4. I'm personally a little scared when I go down into the dungeons, so having a friend with me makes it a little bit friendlier. And like Brent was saying,
Так, а ну,
being
будь
able to
ласка, не
customize
цей,
your playstyle.
не сваріться, не
And
сваріться
no
в
matter what
коментарях,
build
що
you
ви
have,
ображаєте
whatever
одне
class you're
одного.
playing, there's going to be a mercenary that you can customize to
На
really,
диванному,
I think,
будь ласка, забудьте
enhance
свої
what
інші
you're doing.
фандоми.
And being able
Ми
to
тільки
switch them on
диванні
the fly
секторів ці.
and just
І
all
все.
the features that it brings to the table is really exciting.
So I believe there are 4 mercenaries. I have the names here. Let's see what I can do. Rahir,
Yes.
the
Wow.
Bearer,
Yep.
Sly Aldkin, the Cursed Child.
Yes.
Variana, the Berserker Crone,
Yeah.
and Subo, the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah.
And I believe you encounter them like as you complete quests.
Чесно, я
in
сам
Vessel of
ж
Hatred?
олд,
Yeah,
але я
Is
не
it a
дуже
specific
розумію,
order, or
де
can
люди
you
ловлять
find
до сих
them
пір кайф
on your
в
own, or
таких
how does that
You
іграх.
can find them on your own. You're going to find one during the
Які на стрімі навіть включать.
And then, but the really
Ну, окей,
special
але
thing about
типу-
this is that we just didn't put them into the game. We actually wanted to build them out as characters. So they all have their own side quests that really lean into their human story, which we won't spoil anything here today. But they're wonderful human stories for each individual one. And you know the character development in Diablo 4, I think,
Шановні,
is
я не знаю, що
top-notch,
таке
and I'm really
ММР.
excited to see it in this feature.
І
Yeah, it's awesome that we can
не
continue
знаю,
to
чому ви
bring
так
the world of
сретеся
Sanctuary
одне з
alive
одним,
through these
але
characters,
мені
and
чхати,
as you're
чесно.
acquiring them, as you're playing
Ваші
through the
проблеми
games,
мене не
learning more about
стосуються.
them
Я
and
ніколи не
their
буду банити,
backgrounds,
в нас свобода
and, you
слова.
know, bringing that little bit of role playing into your gameplay.
Кажу ж, ви просто,
You'll just have
ви не
one of them
цінуєте
with you
свободу
at a
слова на
time. You're not
диванному,
rolling with
реально.
the whole squad.
But there's a couple different ways that you can bring them in. One, if you're playing by yourself, you can bring them in.
Скажи просто, що це таке, чи
as a
це гра,
follower,
чи
so
це
that
не
we
гра.
run
Якщо не
around
гра,
the
то не
world
дуже
with you, But we
цікаво.
also have a reinforcements
Май
feature.
кур'єр. Ну та, це
which
гра
is,
з
no
нічого.
matter how many people you have in your
принципі.
party, you can assign them to come in and use their
Я не
special
знаю, що це за
powers
гра.
under certain
Просто
conditions
глянув,
that
мені
you
не
define.
сподобалась прев'юшка навіть.
And so you might be in the middle of combat and say that, you know, on basic, have Rahir come in and throw up his power, however you spec them in that moment, which is really cool because you can essentially always have them with you, even if they're not.
Типу
on
я не
screen.
вчитався опис, що там є, ну,
No, I was just
не
going to add, I
зацікавило
think that's
прев'юшкою.
just to
Не зацікавило
enhance
прев'юшкою,
on
значить,
what Brent was saying.
не цікаво.
You know, being able to trigger the reinforcements to key actions that
Але
are
кожен
happening
має
during
право
your
грати
gameplay.
те, що йому
You could be a little bit more
подобається.
passive
Тому,
with it, like Brent mentioned, if you wanted to
шановні
attach it to your
дітлахи,
basic
не
attack.
сваріться через
But
ігри.
you can also attach it to like, hey, I just took a lot of damage. Now I want Rahir to come in and actually put up his shield for me. I think that's where the customization of the gameplay is really, really amazing.
You mentioned the campaign. Can you sort of set up where the story is going in this expansion?
Просто
Yeah,
гратися.
you know, it's the story of hatred is a
Ну,
longer
це як
story that
завжди,
we wanna
хтось
tell.
одні ігри
And so
ненавидять, а
when you
інші
left
їх
off in the
обожнюють.
base game, you defeated
yeah.
Lilith, and Narel had Mephisto and the Soulstone.
Бажаю вам
this is
обох
really the
здоров'ячка.
next chapter of
Багато
that,
здоров'ячка.
picking right up where we left off, and you're going to figure out what the fate of that Soulstone actually is.
A new region, Nahantu?
Yep.
Is that right? What is sort of that allowed you to bring into Diablo 4 that wasn't there before?
Oh man, all sorts of stuff. I mean, you've got this dark gothic setting with the base game, and to be able to come in and bring something as fresh as the jungle is pretty amazing. And even though it's brand new to Diablo 4, there's a lot of nostalgia built in as well. And so for fans that have been around since Diablo 2, we're going back to a region that we touched on lightly. But now we get to dive deeper
Жаль, не
into
можу
the open
перемотати
world.
це
We got a
діло.
lot more opportunity to build out that space.
We also get to bring new amazing monster families to the game. So we have the Hollows, the Dregs, and a fan favorite, the Lacunae. So that's really, really exciting. I think finding new monsters and just defeating them is a core part of the fantasy of Diablo 4. So I can't wait to see what people's reactions are to the families.
So there's a new class, Spiritborn. Any tips or tricks for people who are going to be jumping into this new class?
Oh man, this is the most experimentation that you're going to see in any class. I actually think it comes down to playstyle preference. So the tips and tricks are really based on what style you prefer. You know, I'm a Jaguar player. I really like. We were talking about this earlier. I got the coin in my pocket. Where like I like the fast-paced speed. I like being able to cover a lot of ground. Like
Та ні, я пам'ятаю, що там були такі.
Is really fantastic because not only are you covering a lot of the ground,
Я ж забув, я дивився якусь анімашку Бліч дуже давно. Там були холст.
I just encourage people to get in and like see all the emergent experimentation that they can get.
Потім пробуй читати мангу навіть, як побачиш стільки там частин, то...
Yeah, it's really great that you, again, I think that maybe the key of this expansion is being able to customize your playstyle, and the class in itself just caters to so many different playstyles.
Я не знаю, вони намагаються її підтримувати.
I am a centipede player because I don't like centipedes, but I am a centipede player, so I like the poisons that they bring, the damage over time playstyle, and you know, Brent is telling me I need to add.
Але як можна підтримувати гру? Взагалі, в принципі, як можна купляти гру, який є режим складності, де ти маєш тільки одне життя, і якщо втрачається зв'язок зі сервером, то все, до побачення. Типу, для чого взагалі зв'язок зі сервером?
So we talked about this a lot. There's a lot of things that are going in on that, and I...
Мені здається, YouTube щось намотив зі собою. Тому що вчора в мене в опері він взагалі вилітав. Я сьогодні вже рубав через Edge. Думаю, може Edge, типу.
It's just know that you need to go in with somebody that you trust. Know that you need to communicate, but the game is set up in a way where it's not required. But the experience is quite fantastic because it's at the core, it's still Diablo combat, right? But the mechanics that are coming up really are like you have to be on point with that combat, be a good player, and try to coordinate at the same time. It's a blast in the playtests.
Yeah, you got to jump into Dark Citadel with 2 to 4 players. But if you don't have any friends that are online at the moment, you can always use our new Party Finder feature, which isn't just limited to the Dark Citadel. You can use that feature to find parties for any of the content, but I think that's an exciting new social feature that we're bringing to the table as well.
Very cool. Diablo 4, it's been out for over a year now. It's awesome to see you guys still supporting it. We're excited to jump in. Vessel of Hatred in October. Thank you so much for coming by the show.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Diablo 4's Vessel of Hatred expansion is out October 8th.
Ну нарешті вона виходить. Дякую дуже за побачення.
Studio coming up right here on IGN.
Давай. Що там?
IGN has the most thorough, easy to use and high-tech maps out there. Period.
О, ну скільки можна рекламувати сраний IGN, який пише окрему статтю на те, як відкрити цю дверку. Просто натиснути кнопку, відкрити дверку. І вони на кожну таку штуку пишуть нову статтю, а тепер ще карти додали. Ну нічого собі. Дурка.
From clothes and collectibles to vinyl records, accessories, model kits, and action figures.
Сьогодні абсолютно не вражає.
Franchises like The Legend of Zelda, Star Wars, Fallout, Dungeons and Dragons, and more. Whatever your pop culture passion, you're guaranteed
Старіші так, непогані, а зараз там від будь-яке ключове слово, що пошуку є, хтось щось гуглить, то одразу ж це все і на IGN. Ну тобто вони по факту монетизують Google Ads, ну просто користуються тим, щоб просто тебе переводили на їхній сайт і все. І отримувати трафік, отримувати рекламу. Ну, за рекламу гроші. А там написано стіна тексту, в якій тільки одне речення, яке тебе цікавить. Але ти витрачаєш час, перебуваючи на тому, поки дочитаєш до того місця. Тому так, я не підтримую таку стратегію їхню IGN-івську. Сумно, скільки часу вже минуло і нічого нема.
You're watching IGN's coverage of Gamescom 2024. Next year, we're getting to journey into the Forbidden Lands to meet new and old monsters in the wild. See what I did there? Today, I'm joined by Rozo Sujimoto, producer, Yuya Tokuda, the director of Monster Hunter Wilds, and Patrick Shields, our wonderful translator. Hello!
Hi.
До речі, от я не можу зрозуміти, а що це таке? Типу, японці такі... самозакохані чи що вони ніхто не знає англійської мови? Я ще дуже розумію. Я не вірю в те, що розробник може не знати англійської мови. Ще ж програмується англійською мовою. Це дуже дивно. Враховуючи, наскільки вони сильно інтегруються в західну ігрову всю атмосферу, естетику, вони це все так роблять тепер під західного користувача, то дивно, що вони не знають англійською. Просто щось останнім часом цього бачу. Один тільки цей Коджіма бігає, то сюди десь знає. І до всіх дзвонить. Зі всіма бачиться.
I'm so curious if there were any weapons that were least used that you really want people to play and try out this game.
Китайський. Black Myth Wukong, чи як він китайський, так. Може бути, що як реклама продають таку автентичний стиль японський. І вони такі тільки йдуть туди на Е3 і їм кажуть ні слова по-японськи. Кажу по-японськи, ні слова по-англійськи, що я говорю. Прикол в тому, що перед початком трансляції там пішло вже щось. Я просто був з телефона глянув і якраз був потрапив на Monster Hunter. Мені здається, вони там вже все були розказали плюс англійською мовою одразу. Що вони ще розказують тут зараз?
What's something that you took from Monster Hunter Worlds and Monster Hunter Rise into Wilds?
Ну, щось є. Це так само, як китайці ніде теж не застосовують англійської мови, суто китайську використовують. Це якась така фішка. Ну, в принципі, я за тільки, але трошки дивно. А дивно, тому що я таку фішку знаю у росіян, і мені це не подобається. Бо вони намагаються таким чином себе зробити більш важливими, ніж вони є насправді.
Not just Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise, we've actually looked further back through the whole series history and just taken a look at how our approach was on each title and what we learned from them and how the players reacted to them. And I think in Monster Hunter Wilds we've really taken these many years of experience and finally been able to put it into the ultimate Monster Hunter game.
Я не знаю, хто такі суда. Який красивий собака бігає. Мультир'єр, і не собака. Велика голова, така ніяка.
One example is that as the series has progressed, the maps have gotten bigger and bigger, and that has meant it's been easier to get lost on your way to finding the monsters. So
шкода, що в цій грі практично немає нічого з Shadow of the Colossus, щоб можна було на них вилазити на цих монстрів, типу. Раніше, пам'ятаю, щось таке було, а зараз... Чи це просто маленьких показують босів невеликих? Я щось не розумію. Бо от якщо Shadow of the Colossus, де треба було залізти на монстра, там втриматися на горці, треба добратися до того вразливого місця, стромити меч. Оце прикольно. Тут щось бігають з тими великими мечами, по ногах б'ють і б'ють. Так, можна, я щось просто дивлюся трейлери і щось нічого не показують. Мені здається, що в попередніх Monster Hunter'ах можна було за гриву чіплятися, там ще щось, коли монстр тікав. Ну, я не пам'ятаю вже, насправді, щось таке бачу в трейлерах.
All 14 weapons support attacking while mounted on the sacred, not just the ranged weapons. That said, I'd call it an option that's added for when you have a chance to attack the
До речі, а є
monster on your
сенс
sacred, but in
купляти
terms
всі частини, чи можна просто купити
of DPS,
World?
as it were, I'd recommend
І
getting
грати
off
в
the
World.
sacred and
Я не
getting
трачу
into
там
battle
нічого в
proper,
історії, як
but
розумію,
it's there
правда?
if you want to use it, and there's a limited number of actions you can use.
Okay, that's actually amazing. I mean, I'll take the tips from the pro, so I won't just write them out and be scared. So we do see that monsters are going to be able to kind of
Цікаво, чи вона знає японську, чи вона сама японка, просто вже англомовна, там, громадянинка США, наприклад. І чи вона розуміє, що вони говорять, тоді просто слухає, що він говорить. Або вона вже асимільована, вже не знає японської.
人間も含めたモンスターハンターの世界というのを描こうと思ってまして、そのためには少しその人間に対しても攻撃的だったり怖い部分っていうのもモンスターにはありますので、そういうところを強調するためには群れみたいな表現っていうのが今回の
Хоча якось дуже нелегко вбивається буквально одним пострілом з цього.
今回採用しています。
Ну, з крюка цього хука. Гака.
And that means not just how the monsters or creatures in the environment behave, but how they react to people. And just as in the real world, some creatures will form packs or herds, and they might be aggressive towards humans who come towards them, or they might be scared of them and run away in a herd. So given that the technology now allows us to display so many more monsters on screen at the same time, it seemed like the perfect opportunity.
Ну, Догма кажуть непогано, але вона дорога, бляха. І глючна. Не знаю, може вже поправили. А я пам'ятаю, що там рендерився весь... Вона дуже глючила через те, що там весь світ рендерився одразу. Чи там щось... Майже весь світ, типу. Щось вже виправили. Сюди 51 клас.
That's not very familiar.
Мабуть.
Okay, yeah, probably not. Well, yeah, they wouldn't be alive to really think of that. So, what are the new
Ну, а на кого нас
monsters
схожі
that you're
на
excited for
японку?
players to come across?
Та всі вони схожі там між собою. Я не расист, але японці, корейці, китайці там. Якщо ти не знаєш, як вони звучать, то вони всі схожі на це. Мінімально. Ну, японці трошки більше очі зазвичай так, але...
昨日の PV でもたくさん流れてきたレダウという
всі вони Asian
一番頂点に立っているモンスターは非常にこうビジュアル的にもかっこよくてですね、しかるべき強さも秘めてますので、今回試作のデモ版でもプレイいただける形になってますので、なんか見ていただけたら嬉しいなとは思ってます。
Needless to say, we've only revealed a few monsters so far, so I can't really talk about monsters we haven't gotten to yet. But of the ones that we've been able to talk about thus far, Ray Dao is really exciting. You will have seen it in the trailer that we released yesterday. It's the top of the food chain. It's the apex predator of the Windward Plains, the desert area. And not only visually, but in terms of mechanics, it's a really thrilling hunt. So I can't wait for players to get their hands on it. And if you're coming to Gamescom and you're able to play our demo on our booth, that's
Ну, окей, а якщо японці з Хоккайдо?
Okay, yeah, okay. I'll stop asking questions that you can't answer, but I do have one for both of you
контраргументи
since we're
мені.
coming up to our last and final question. I want it to be a little bit fun. I love palicos. I think they are the most adorable things ever. I wish they were real. Do you have palicos of your own at home, aka cats?
Чи де там Ічібан відпочивав? А ні, він на Гаваї їздив. Ічібан, чому Ічібан такий чорний? Тому що він не мився довго.
Oh, okay. So I see where we're getting the inspirations for Monster Hunter from. I see. Thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure. I will definitely swing by your booth to play. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to watch us and this special Monster Hunter segment. Monster Hunter Wilds will be releasing in 2025 on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC. Stick around for more Gamescom 2024 right here on IGN.
Реклама.
Copa City is a football tycoon game where you transform an entire city to get it prepped to host world-class football events. Copa City features 3 meticulously crafted maps based on real cities like Warsaw and Berlin, and includes 6 world-class football clubs like Flamengo, Arsenal FC, and FC Bayern Munich. Here's an exclusive first look at alpha gameplay.
Football. Every time before the ball is set in motion on the pitch, it's the culmination of hard work.
Футбольний симулятор? О, типу, симулятор клубу. Команди.
To ensure everyone's safety, to meet every need, and to ignite the city's fiesta.
Ну, типу, футбольний тайкун свого роду. Окей.
Sometimes it requires making tough decisions with lasting consequences. To elevate your football event to a global
Фотки
stage.
згенеровані шиї?
To bring the
Я
best
так і
players
бачу,
and
такі
clubs
чоловіки,
in
що
your city
фоткаються в горах, там такі ходять на
to
футбол.
make your game happen
Окей.
in Copa City.
Отак от, типу. Ну, така гра специфічненька, непогана, маленька гра, мабуть. Що це? Українська? Що це? Українська мова не буде? Як вона називалась? Копа?
Simulate that pace for this 30-second ad, we're featuring 26 different films. And before you say it, no, that math does not check out.
Перевіримо?
We're not math people.
Перевіримо, що я побачив.
We can't even count down from 10.
Українська, тексти, субтитри. Фу. А я її не похвалив навіть, я хвалю. Все, молодці. Молодці.
Great at movies.
Українську мову буде в футбольному симуляторі.
Now you can even import your entire Steam library to Playlist, making it easier than ever to review games, show off your collection of the world, and finally chip away at that massive backlog.
IGN хоче стати мережею для геймерів, типу? А що заважає просто рев'ювати ігри в Стімі?
Check out IGN Plus. Members get exclusive deals and giveaways. Ad-free browsing, unlimited tracking on IGN Maps, discounts at the IGN store and with IGN partners. And best of all, free games. Get 30 days of IGN Plus for just $1. Head to plus.ign.com.
IGN has the most thorough, easy-to-use, and high-tech maps out there. IGN Maps load faster with more
Ох, скільки
markers
ж
than ever
реклами.
and are built for your phone as your constant companion to the biggest games. So start checking off markers for the game you are playing today. Can't find that final collectible you're missing? IGN strategy guides and interactive maps are here to help. IGN guides are trusted by millions, easy to use, and best of all, free. You can even track your progress with interactive checklists so you know you reached that 100% completion. IGN has the very best, most complete and accurate guides. Every guide is tested and verified for you by experts. Just search for IGN when you search for guides.
Кіт. Кіцик. Кіцик. DLC?
You never forget your first drop.
Reinforcements inbound. Hang tight, demons.
Це не та гра, походу. Чи так?
From the moment those doors open up,
Good bug is a dead bug.
everything changes.
Let's go, troopers! Move up!
Це ж правильно, я розумію, це той шутер, що був популярний.
It's the fan. It ain't the Federation you're thinking of. It's those who stand together.
Extraction inbound.
Коп-шутер там на скільки, на 16 людей чи на 30
Those who fall.
Щось таке.
And those who stay behind. So we can fight another day.
Get to the dropship, troopers!
Ого, навіть такі броньовані.
This is why we fight.
You know what to do. Extraction complete. ready, Command.
Не можу зрозуміти, чи це доповнення? Чи це взагалі щось окреме нове?
Later this year, you can finally do your part to make the galaxy safe by battling the bug menace in Starship Troopers Extermination. If you'd like to know more, you're in luck because I'm joined by the legendary Johnny Rico himself, Casper Van Dien, and Gareth Woods from
Ого, Джонні
Industries.
Ріко, нічого
Welcome,
собі.
gentlemen. Thanks for coming by. I see you brought some
Нічого
backup here.
собі.
Yeah.
Some friends of ours.
Yeah, I always travel with them.
I love it. I feel incredibly
Cool.
safe. This is wonderful. Now we also brought something very cool, which is a brand new trailer. We just got to look at that. I was thinking we could maybe just throw it on again and maybe pause periodically, pull out some details, call out some cool stuff in there. So, yeah, let's take a look.
All right.
Так, це та гра, тільки, я так розумію, вони змінили її
Starship Troopers, is that correct?
Yeah.
трошки.
These are these people right here. There's a drop ship coming out of here. Just, I love the face masks that they've added in Starship Troopers Extermination. We didn't have that in the original, but we had coming out like this. That's a plasma bug, right?
Yeah, let's kind of talk about that. There's some new bugs in the game.
Yeah, we wanted
Ну,
to
я
show off
просто
some of the
почитаю, я
bugs that
читаю
I
зараз
guess people have
почнемо,
seen
то що
already
там
in the early access.
відбувалося.
But I think the big reveal was obviously the tanker bug, which I suppose we've teased. People knew it was coming. It's in the movie, and that's always been a thing we've tried to push throughout development of the game, is that you're going to get to live action role play the movie. And so if it's in the movie, we want to put it in the game. And so the tanker bug reveal was obviously a big one.
That was
tigers we've seen before.
The tiger bugs are huge.
But obviously the big reveal now when the tanker bug unearths from the ground, the music's at a great crescendo. You really start getting the goose flesh, and obviously part of extermination is extracting safely. But sometimes someone has to stand behind and
що він давно вже вийшов, а
defend
це,
the
походу, він
base.
тільки виходить тепер з
With the nuke, which
Альфа,
obviously
бета.
very impressive.
Good way of handling that.
100%.
Is that the Watkins trigger?
Yeah, well, yeah, it is, yeah, but with a nuke attached to
with
it.
the nuke.
Yeah.
Well, that was he held the nuke. That was the Watkins thing.
Yeah,
He held his, when I said to him, "What are you trying to do?" Kill? And he goes, "I'm just trying to kill some bugs." That's Seth Gilliam, who was in The Walking Dead. They named it after him. These people are Off-World is so incredible. They take the time to look at all the details, and they would add these little things that people would know that watch the movie.
Yeah.
Or go back and watch.
Yeah, basically kind of cram in as many Easter eggs as possible for the.
Ні, ну їх роадмапі не пише ніде, що вони виходили на... Ну, щоб вони виходили вже повністю. Це до сих пір, я так розумію, буде ще Early Access.
I did. That's wild. It was so much fun. We were in there and they'd throw something else at me and then I'd go, hey.
Ну, типу, ця гра була дуже популярна, коли тільки вийшла, бо там 16 людей одночасно, і це прям веселуха там була.
And they go, Casper, that was great, but why don't you try this? And then I'd be like, oh my God, that's even better. And then I'd throw something else and I'm like, oh no, that was perfect. So we had so many different things.
А я про неї забув, в принципі.
So there were so many levels. But they already come up with the dialogue. It was so incredible. It reminded me of just like what Ed Neumeyer wrote, who wrote Starship Troopers.
А що навіть
You're sort of playing like the general. You're like just commanding everybody, you're bossing everybody around, and then the actual.
You get your orders, and the narrative is delivered through Casper and other voice actors. But essentially, you play a trooper, and you've got your NPC kind of characters that join you. They've all got their own backstories. They've got their own kind of personalities. And you essentially go through these series of missions for what is Chapter 1, which will be available at launch. We are then periodically throughout, the ongoing live service going to be delivering more chapters. Chapter 2's already been recorded with Casper, but we'll be able to continue the story through more free DLC that comes out later.
Cool, and it's also like 16-player co-op.
No, that is a single
Ну,
player.
тут, на відміну від
Player
Феодайверса, тут
squad.
є ще будівництво навіть. Можна базу будувати, на яку потім прилетять кораблі,
that
з яких тебе ще
Casper, the
воюватися.
general, has kind of commanded you and cherry-picked you as the best of the best to go out and deliver these special missions.
Cool. Now, so this has also been in early access for quite a while.
Yeah, since May of last year.
Yeah, which is awesome, and obviously, like you've got some extremely active Starship Troopers fans around. Some of them just hanging out on stage with us. What's some of the feedback you've gotten from early access, and what's I guess what's the community brought to the table?
Yeah, I think people have really appreciated our obvious love of the franchise and wanting to put as much of what you see in the movie into the game. I think the particularly unique selling points of the game have obviously been the 16-player element. I think horde shooters, it's a super popular genre, but no one's doing that kind of 16-player element. I think other games always treat you as the hero. You very much can make a difference by yourself, but with 16 players, you have to team up, you have to work together, and so the unique roles that you play in that squad. And taken from our studio's experience with Squad, our other game, which is a 100-player game, we've really tried to elevate that element of teamwork and coordination.
It's a lot of fun. What they do is they even benefit. You get perks if you help other people, if you're trying to help other troopers out. I mean, they've
Цікаво,
been
чи
very
Ріко грав
thoughtful in
взагалі
this, and
цю гру.
it's incredible. I go out and I play all the time.
Yeah, you've been streaming the game yourself.
I've been streaming it and also
собі.
just going out and steaming it by myself, just going out, and I go as General J. Rico, and people are like, wait a minute, you sound like the guy from the movie, and I go, I am, and they're like, no way!
Yeah, great for random
Блін, це
players. to just-
прикольно.
I recognize that voice
Це
from
прям
somewhere.
прикольно, що він
Cool.
грає.
Now, Casper, I gotta ask,
Це
there's a lot of bugs in the
Це
game. Do you have
круто.
a particular favorite in the game or just the general Starship Troopers?
Of course, I love killing the warrior bugs. I love that new Tiger Warrior bug, and the tanker bug has always been my nemesis. So that's been my thing. So I am so excited that this has been revealed. I've been wanting to talk about it. I've been wanting to see it, and I've been wanting to play it. And you can get on top of this bug, and you can blow it up.
На Твічі відбувається мелодрама рівня мексиканського чи бразильського серіалу.
But I also love that they have carnage, so that the bugs start piling up here and they don't disappear. You have to deal with the carnage as it comes. It's incredible.
Це прикольно,
so the
що
bugs
трупи
pile
не
up and they
зникають,
crawl
типу,
over and
так?
get in, but you can also crawl up on them. You can blow them
Прикольно.
up, you can go through them. I mean, it's incredible. And they don't. You go away and you come back. All those bodies are still there. They don't disappear when you kill them.
That is disgusting. That's just awful. And I love it. I'm very into it. I guess I'm just sort of. Can you just give us an idea where we're at with the single player story? Like, what's at stake? Where does this fall in the general canon? Can you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to reveal too much because obviously it is a narrative and kind of spoiler territory if I give too much. But essentially, General Rico, who's now a general again, and he's got a kind of antagonistic relationship with the rest of command. But essentially, he's picked you and your fellow troopers to kind of deliver some secret, not so secret missions that. I feel like I'm walking to spoiler territory.
You do this so that you can move up in the game. It also gives you. It's incredible. I haven't seen it yet. I've only done the voice for it. I've heard what they've said. I'm gonna go take a look at it today.
Yeah, but it's important to allow people to have their troopers experience by themselves if they want. But also, I think for a lot of people to get them ready for multiplayer, which can be intimidating. I think for a lot of people, they want to play the single player. They want to feel like they can do their part and not, be the sore thumb that sticks out.
Do their part. I see what you did there.
Yeah, you like that. You're picking up what I'm dropping down. Yeah.
How chaotic does it get when you've got 16 people just running around? Is it just
yeah, I think that's the thing when you first start. It is literally like herding cats kind of thing. But towards the end, I mean, especially when you get to the higher difficulties, everyone kind of knows what to do. They know their part. They know the engineers, whatever role you're doing, everyone knows what the medics do, the snipers do, what the engineers do.
Yeah, we were just talking about this because I've been playing. I've been going out just playing, and I'm like a newbie again. So I'm like totally a noob, which is incredible because I was an OG in the old days, but now I'm a noob again. But I've been playing. And when I'm playing, sometimes you get, you have to have your medic, you have to have engineers, you have to have a ranger, you have to have a sniper, you have to have all the different people. If you get a whole team together and they all work together, cohesiveness, you can be successful. I had an incredible game I played with all these random people, and we were just playing. Like, I can't believe you're here. And I just went in with these people that knew what they were doing. The engineers built an incredible base. They had all these things. You get all the material you need to get to build and get your weapons and get everything up. And then you go out and you kill the bugs. The hordes come, you kill them, and then you have to get extracted. It's incredible.
Victory. I love it. Everybody's got to do their part. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming by.
Thanks for having us again.
Thank you for just providing backup. I love it. You can check out Starship Troopers Extermination right now by enlisting for Steam Early Access, and the full version will mobilize on PC and new-gen consoles October 11th.
Want the ultimate IGN experience? Check out IGN Plus. Members get exclusive deals and giveaways. Ad-free browsing, unlimited
Не знаю, Twitch просто, блін, реально жорстка платформа. Люди на YouTube дивляться і мовчать. На Twitch, в принципі, не дивляться, а просто сруться.
IGN Playlist is the best way to track your game collection.
Що, знов реклама?
Import your entire Steam library to Playlist, making it easier than ever to review games, show off your collection of the world, and finally chip away at that massive backlog you keep meaning to get to. IGN Playlist, check it out.
IGN Store has it all. From clothes and collectibles to vinyl records, accessories, model kits, and action figures from the biggest and best franchises like The Legend of Zelda, Star Wars, Fallout, Dungeons and Dragons, and more. Whatever your pop culture passion, you're guaranteed to find something you love. There are new and exciting products hitting the store every week, like the Wasteland-ready Fallout Vault 33 hoodie, which pairs perfectly with the working wearable Pip-Boy. Plus, high-quality IGN store exclusives like the powerful and spicy Star Wars Darkside Hot Sauce by Truff. We've even got merchandise for you to rock while tuning in to the IGN shows and podcasts you love. Or cap off a long day by relaxing to the soundtracks of your favorite video games, like Cyberpunk and The Last of Us. And the best part? You don't even need to leave the house to go there. Just head to store.ign.com and start shopping today. The IGN Store. You deserve it.
IGN has the most thorough, easy-to-use, and high-tech maps out there. IGN maps load faster with more markers than ever and are built for your phone as your constant companion to the biggest games. So start checking off markers for the game you are playing today.
What's up, everybody? We are here at the IGN store, which is right next to the Gamescom studio.
Ви на приколі, типу, ви реально будете ще й вживу його рекламувати.
Come check it out. You will find a bunch of really cool merch that is exclusive to the IGN store. A bunch of t-shirts, hoodies, pins based on your favorite video games. We've got an exclusive Fallout Brotherhood of Steel pin set, which you won't find anywhere else. But if you aren't at Gamescom, you can also go to store.ign.com to grab a bunch of very cool merch and collectibles and stuff like that.
Yeah, but if you're more interested in what we have to show you, we've got the World of Warcraft expansion coming up next. Then we've got Marvel Rivals, Avowed, Civ 7, and so much more, so stick around.
World of Warcraft has its 10th expansion pack coming very soon on August the 26th this year, and Azeroth is yet again in danger from a new dark force. Joining us today to talk about the war within are Associate Design Director Maria Hamilton and Associate Art
Що можу сказати? Зазвичай 4 гри, які мені,
Welcome, folks.
скажімо так,
How's it going?
дуже слабо цікаво. Ця чоловіка хіба не була перед тим? Вона з цим, з Бізардом, та? А що вона поміняла футболку? Спітніла чи що? От я сиджу, у мене температура 30 і не міняю футболку, а? Вона штани переді мною і капці, що це за мем?
And along the way, we've left hints and clues and little hooks that remain that we can then pick up later and continue. And that was our goal, actually, with this 20th anniversary.
Панянко, ви розробляєте World of Warcraft для нас, та вам вже 60 років. Вам вже пора на пенсію. Дайте молоді робити ігри, я вас прошу. Дайте людям, які дійсно грають ці ігри, робити їх.
It's not too hard, actually. There's lots of cool ideas. It's a deep mythology, and so we're able to easily find, you know, new stories to tell. But this one is a real culmination of a lot of
Це що?
Is it challenging to find like new stakes, new world-threatening things, or is the lore so rich that there's just hooks everywhere?
Yeah, no, there's hooks everywhere. And we've had this whole story about Azeroth the whole time. I mean, Azeroth is in many ways our main character. The world is the main character here. I mean, yes, the players obviously are, but it's all in service to our world. So it's pretty easy to always find, you know, another problem that's come up, and in this case, it's pretty epic. I mean, it's really enough story that we need to tell it in three expansions.
You're never short of like world.
Поки що нема, найближчим часом нема сталкера. Я думаю, взагалі просто вийти з кадру. Мені так купити воду на завтра на роботу. Ще щось туди-сюди, пивка взяти. Кобасу купити треба. Якраз я витрачу цей час ефективно, ніж дивитися на те, що не дуже цікаво. Шкода, скромності немає. Він мене підмінив просто. Я би пішов собі по справах, а він би тут сидів замість мене.
For instance, in our expansion Wrath of the Lich King, we saw, you know, we saw hints of the Nerubian Empire, but for the War Within, we thought how amazing would it be to show them in all their glory. Oh, excellent timing.
What can you tell us about the new playable race, the Earthen? They look really incredible. They're different. They're a neutral race. You can play them as Horde or Alliance.
Ну це кринж. Понадавали рас, які можуть грати за всіх.
The interesting thing about the Earthen is they have been isolated from the rest of sort of civilization
World of
for
Warcraft
a
така
terribly
кринжа.
long time. And they were placed,
Скінчився він
created, in
на
fact,
Wraith of
to
the Lich
take
King.
on specific
Ну,
tasks.
може ще на цьому, на
They're in three different sort of
Катаклізмі.
categories.
Не
There's the
додали
machine
гоблінів.
speakers that were responsible for taking care of
Тих
the
малих.
great machinery that sort of powers everything under Khazalgar.
Графіка я бачу
probably
з кожним
more of the
патчем все
world than we
красивіше і
know.
красивіше.
There's the Oathbound
Як він мені
who are
запам'ятався
protecting the
10
Corvée,
років
which
тому,
allows
так
you to
і
go
до сих
down
пір він
to
виглядає.
sort of the center of our world. And then there's the
Тож, як я розумію, моди вже, ну не моди,
who,
а ті,
are the ones that have
як це
sort of
називалось
begun to
там,
doubt, because it's been a
аддони.
long time they've been here. The
Тепер в грі
Titans
вже,
gave them these
чи ще ні?
edicts that sort of drive their need to do these things. But they haven't seen the Titans in a very long time, and they're beginning to question and wonder. So that makes them very interesting. And then just in terms of how they look,
Чесно,
you
я
know,
не
there's
знаю, що
still
тут
that
сказати.
rocky,
Якщо комусь подобається World of Warcraft, то можете
gem-studded
розповісти чим.
sort of look, which is
У
really cool for
2024 році, то.
customization. Tina knows a lot more about that part though than I do.
And they eat gems instead of food.
There's definitely hints of their culture that we make unique to them, right? They're made of rock, so they don't burn, and they, you know, might remineralize in these little pools, so it's really fun.
Okay, I'd like to touch really quickly on like quality of life improvements. Can you tell us about warbands and how that's going to make everyone's lives easier, maybe?
Yeah, something that we really have been leaning into this expansion is really meeting the players where they're at and seeing how
це ж та
they're
сама
playing the
чоловіка, ні?
game. So now we see so many players play multiple characters. They have alts, and we're really made this huge, you know, engineering effort to make it so that the way that they play for all their different characters combines together in a way that we're calling the warband. In terms of their achievements, there's a shared warband bank, and we think this will be a huge quality of life improvement for everyone.
Okay, and racing ahead, because we're so short of time, I want to talk about delves. Now these are like mini dungeons, and you can take any kind of like party or you can play them solo. It doesn't matter what group of classes you've got with you. How is that going to work? Like, what's the difficulty pitched at for those?
Yeah, we're so excited because delves are, again, meeting the players where they're at.
Okay.
There's definitely this flexible group situation, right? So there's a different scaling difficulty. So you could choose different levels depending on the level of challenge that you want, and you could go in either solo or with up to 4 friends. And so this will be a way for a lot of players who historically have been, you know, underserved with endgame progression to
Прекрасний
get their
Gamescom.
opportunity to feel like they're able to constantly progress week by
Замість того,
week.
щоб дивитися просто
And they're
трейлери
super
ігор,
short,
я
like,
тут
10-15
сиджу і
I
дивлюся
think that's one of the key parts is that we were trying
World
to
of
think of our players that don't have a big block of time to play, but they want to jump in the game. You know, maybe the baby's taking a nap and they're like, oh, I have half an hour. I'm gonna go run a couple delves. You know.
Видно, на кого розрахований
And
World
then
of
this
Warcraft.
gives
Тих
them
людей,
an
які просто грають вже
opportunity
20
too.
років.
Our Great Vault now has a row on it. We're
Кажуть,
doing these outdoor
ну, тут просто ж є
activities
люди,
that
які,
then
може, не
rewards
хочуть
very
дуже
good
багато
quality
часу
gear.
вкладати
So
в
those
гру.
folks that just
От лягли
can't,
дітки
you know,
спадки
get
і вже
together
можна
with
про трошки
40 of
World of
their
Warcraft.
friends, you know,
OMG.
can just pop in and have this fun and
Просто
then get back
OMG.
to what they need to do, what life, you know, is sort of requiring of them.
Like maybe 20 years ago when you started playing, you had all the time for raids, and now you've got 15 minutes of an evening to do a delve.
Yep.
All right, well, let's talk about raids though. For the people who are raiding, can we talk about the major raid? It's called Nerebar, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we
Я не
will
маю
find out
Майнкрафту.
through the course
До речі.
of our main story questing about a
Та ви
little
гоните,
bit
як на
of
Xbox презентації?
a struggle. We've seen a video that we've put out that shows how Queen Ansarok came to power. And this is where this is her palace.
The storyline sets up.
Gonna go in there and
Нафіг. Що ви такі грубі? Це знову цей чувак, та? З Blizzard. Де там сталкер? Стулькер. Так що ми почали зі стулькера. Дякуємо, що зайшов. Одна людина хоч розумно зайшла до нас і повідомила, що ми довбойоби. Сидимо тут, дивимося цю херню під назвою Gamescom. Бляха, то це був прям початок сталкера.
I got to have hands-on with it, and it is so much fun. Because what we're going to do as well is we're going to hop straight into the gameplay that you're going to talk us through. So anyone haven't already, if you want to talk us through this gameplay, so we can know what we've got coming up.
Yeah. I'll take this part. So here the player is doing his first quest, and he got a scanner, a device. Player at this point doesn't know a lot about how it works and what it's for. He just gets information that it somehow recharges an artifacts that's put it inside it. And that, if it got successful, it's gonna bring a lot of let's say money. Maybe something else. So at this point, player don't know what is the goal of the character, why he's doing it, and he's learning the story about your character also by doing this quest line.
Because this is actually the bit that they've got on the show floor here, isn't it? At the start of the game. Because I had so much fun. I get what you mean as well when you're just trying to discover what exactly it does, and the storyline sets that up. But what about the combat in the game as well? Because we can kind of see our first fight here.
Yeah. So it's a group of bandits. They were resting just nearby in their camp and doing their cheeky-breaky stuff. And then they saw that something happened. A wall was destroyed with huge noise. They just turned up, going to see what's happening, and found you, a player, and
it's amazing as well, because I found myself when I was playing this, I was like the flashlight turning on and off, and like you can also like lean around corners, can't you, to kind of like engage fights from like a bit of cover.
Yeah, so it's very important in this game to have a proper tactics. You should hide a lot, you should use your medkits, you should survive grenades, because AI is very pushing and challenging. They're trying to outcome you, to go from other side, and it's pretty stressful. So it's a first fight. It's very simple fight against 3 bandits, but as from what we can see, it's often leads you to several deaths.
It's very unforgiving as well, and we just see as well. I found it's like a big part of the game is like looting. So what kind of things should people be looking out for when they're looting?
Yeah, so the part of the game, so while we are fighting, we are losing our resources, consumables, food, ammo, and after the fight finished, we have to get through the dead bodies' pockets to find some ammunition, maybe loot their camp to restore what we just spent, because without it, we just run out of ammo, and the player would be like stuck.
Because that's the big thing I have. I am very trigger happy when it comes to first-person shooters. Like I fire way more bullets than I should, and then I found myself as well. I was like, I need to go check every building that I can because I need more ammo. Like, what kind of advice would you say for players hopping into Stalker 2 to spend their time in the world?
So the reason why you should discover and look for some stashes in locations is not because you just want to find some items, but because it's interesting to discover this abandoned place where was some living some time ago, and there is some story behind it. And when you are just walking around and looking for the corners, and it's beautiful there, you can surprisingly find something stashed there, because it's a stalker stashes. They use some stashes for their next journeys, because they can bring like hundreds of thousands of kilograms. They have to make some stashes for there, and players sometimes find them, and it's often rewardable, and often it's very rewardable, because you can get a huge equipment boost by just going to some building you didn't expect to find anything there, but it should be there.
That's what I found. I found myself like an assault rifle when I just had a pistol to start with. I was like exploring buildings and found that. But the game also, it looks amazing.
Yeah, this is the start of a next fight. The player, we have some stealth mechanics. So it's not very as you used to have a stealth in the game. It doesn't offer you like ability to be invisible for enemies. No, they will see you and shoot you. But at least it allows you to get slightly closer, to find better position to start the fight. Or maybe to initiate the fight with a grenade.
Якщо ти не отримуєш задоволення від геймплею, то
so
сюжет
it would be easier for you. And then the fight is pretty challenging.
Yeah.
And you have to watch your hit points and your state. You can get bleeding, and you have to use a bandage to stop this bleeding, because it's gonna last for long, and you're gonna lose a lot of hit points if you not stop and use the bandages.
Yeah, because you have multiple ways of healing, don't you? You've got like the bandages to stop the bleeding, but there's like different types of med kits that you can find as well.
You can have a regular med kits, medical med kits, and an army med kit.
Yeah.
And they provide additional boosts, but mostly it's restoring the hit points. But also, if you are not in the fight and you just need to recover a small portion of health, you can just eat, and it will also bring you a small portion of hit points.
See, that's what I loved as well. I found like there's so much resource management that you have to like pay attention to as Stalker, which really gives you a different challenge. So it's like you said, if you don't eat, you're going to perform worse in gunfights.
Yeah, so you have to watch about your state, just like you're watching about yourself. So we try to bring this simulation or atmosphere as you being the real human that goes to Chernobyl exclusion area with your backpack, with some food, and you just have to do the same things to survive in the game as in life, because you have to eat, you have to sleep, you have to like you fall, you broke your leg, you have to use some medkits to survive, and that's what we are doing here.
Yeah, no, I honestly, it's one of those things I'd recommend it to anyone if you haven't had the chance to play the original Stalker as well. Because when I got to play here, you just think and approach gunfights so differently, because there is that like risk element, and some of the enemies, like I was jumping out of my skin because there was like a camouflaged opponent that I came across in the demo here at Gamescom. And like, can you tell us a little bit more about the enemies that we're going to face?
Yeah, so the zone is inhabited by different factions. There are factions that came from the first Stalker trilogy, and there are new factions, and they have a story behind them of how they appear, what is their goals, and for the player, it would be interesting to uncover and discover these stories. And it's important to mention that from one walkthrough, the player won't know the whole story.
Yeah.
So you had to have several walkthroughs to get all these pieces together, or you could discuss it with your friend who choose some other path, and you can share the information about what you see to each other, and you uncover, oh, I didn't expect that it would happen like this. So it's for me, I find it should be interesting for people to discuss their experience with each other.
Yeah, we also saw just beforehand, right, we can actually see the scanner going on right now. Can you talk us through this?
It's echo scanner, it's a simple scanner, you just beep, and the faster it beeps, the nearest is an artifact.
Yeah.
You can collect an artifact just by using scanner, and at this point, player face that Bloodsucker is a canonical enemy in Stalker series. He has an ability to become invisible to player, and we found that from the feedback of the players and from what we see that he's doing quite challenging thing for the players. And but also it's very rewarding, because when you start playing the game and you start facing some challenge for the first time, you may die, second time you may die, but after it becomes easier for you, and at some point you become master of the game, and everything is easy for you. But it takes time to learn the game.
This terrified me. Like, honestly, I was there going like, wait, at first I was like, what's attacking me? And I was like, how do I counter this? And I was like, suddenly realized there was a camouflaged opponent attacking me. It's like, I love that in this game though, is there are so many challenging enemy like components. Whether you're fighting bandits, whether you're like fighting these sort of enemies, and then I was like looting everything. I became like a loot goblin, where I was going into every building and just trying to find as many medkits so that I could stay alive.
And there is also a lot of pieces of content just near the locations. This is not a main quest, it's often not a side quest, it's just some encounters or narrative little stories to bring you an experience of discovering this real location, real zone. And it's not a fake world, it's full of small pieces.
Yeah.
And for me, I find it very interesting to discover. Even if I know the game pretty much, still the world map is so huge. So even for me, going back to some locations make me feel, oh, I didn't expect to find it here. Or they bring something here also. So for me, it's also like I feel the same wow effect when I discover something for me.
You really get rewarded for spending that time to look around the world and kind of try and find those caches, and it's going to pay dividends.
Yeah, it's one of the main goals in making this game is to bring as much freedom and allow player to be as he wants to be or she wants to be, to play the role they feel that works for them, and the player could like start being very rude and cruel, and they can act totally different in this game as like a player who wants to be on the friendly side. So there are a lot of freedom. It's rewarding. So even being cruel is rewarding, but there is a balance. Like the game will also punish you for something.
No, 100%. And I think one of the main things is for everyone who's been watching and wants to get their hands on the game, when are they going to be able to play?
It's November, so it's not so much time left. And for us, we are like every day counts. We are doing everything possible to bring as Polish gameplay as possible, and I hope you enjoy it.
Well, honestly, from what I played on at Gamescom, I can't wait to play it more. But thanks so much for stopping by. You can get Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl on November 20th. And of course, it launches day and date on Xbox Game Pass as well. But now to a new line of Xbox accessories, making a splash here at Gamescom. Take a look. But thank you so much, Vijay. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Play video games.
Good job.
Це все, типу, що показали? Серйозно?
Leo has issues with his motor ability. He doesn't have access to a lot of things.
There's so many disabled people that deserve a shot to be like everyone else.
I want to be a part of this world.
So this is my Xbox adaptive joystick.
It allows her to use the controller without using both hands.
It just clicked to him. This is a joystick. I manipulate the character, and this is how I'm going to move myself.
You've got every button covered.
Це дуже непогано якраз. Тому що можна буде купити геймпас і пограти за 190 гривень, а не за 600.
You can get files from the Xbox Line Lab. Then you can go somewhere else and get printed.
Be yourself, design it how you want. You're playing with your Xbox controller.
Right side, right side.
With the Xbox controller assist, when he needs help, when he gets stuck, I can at least hit the gas for him. Then he can control the rest. Having the joystick levels the playing field for him.
Your character, he can fly. He can do everything you can't do.
He enjoys winning and will definitely let you know when he does.
News today. And with everything in your line of work, the things snacks, Xbox controllers, and that.
Тут що показують?
Okay.
Знову японці?
When a game release, there will be more.
Що за
song
гра?
as he goes into the
А, ну тут в Марвел. Коротше,
It was great working with the voice actor as
якщо
well.
ви хочете це дивитися,
Bringing Jeff
те все саме, що ви бачили вчора.
to life in this 3D environment.
Марвел, що там ще має бути? Star Citizen, Civilization 7 і Evolven. Ну тоді ви можете зайти на цю трансляцію. Бо по факту, я дивлюся, що сьогодні, крім Сталкера, в принципі, немає нічого цікавого. Ну, що це, пес акула? Гавр Гура дуже змінилася останнім часом. Я теж так кажу. Я вважаю, тут варто розходитися, тому що навіть я розчарований, чесно кажучи, трохи показом Сталкера, тому що не показало нічого нового. Попередній показ геймплею був набагато більший і кращий, ніж це. Хоча показали, що можна за боки заглядати, це вже плюс. Бо дехто вважав, що це неможливо реалізувати через те, що гра виходить на Xbox. От таке. Боже, це що за Будда? Та це ж майстер кунг-фу з цього, з Якудзи. Ай-яй-яй-яй. Іхіва. Так що та. Всім до побачення, я так думаю. Я так думаю, що всім до побачення. Ще побачимося. Всім гарного дня.